Hey everybody, John V here again from PhoneArena. You're watching our video comparison between the Verizon Galaxy Nexus and the Motorola DROID RAZR, these two being the higher end devices for Verizon Wireless, and they share a lot of commonalities such as their streamlined designs, gorgeous looking displays, 4G LTE connectivity, and they're both priced the same at $299.99 with the contract. So if you're on Verizon, you're wondering which one to side with, so let's get started and find out which one. On one hand, the Verizon Galaxy Nexus utilizes an all-plastic body, which is decent, gives a good lightweight feel, and also a streamlined approach, but doesn't quite have that sturdy feel compared to the Motorola DROID RAZR, which also boasts a better-looking design, thanks to its choice of materials and solid construction. The biggest thing about it is, of course, its very streamlined approach. It's thinner than the Galaxy Nexus, at the same time also lighter. On top of that, we prefer its choice of materials. It just seems a lot more premium. You have the stainless steel interior, you have the Kevlar back cover, and also diamond cut aluminum accents. It just makes for one solid feeling handset. Mainly because of its higher resolution, we prefer the display in the Galaxy Nexus versus the DROID RAZR. It's a 4.65-inch display versus 4.3, 720p versus QHD, so that's 720 by 1280 versus 540 by 960 pixels. Honestly, when it comes to detail, you don't notice it right away, especially if you're looking from far away, but for things like the web browser, for the fine text, when you look at the devices very close, you can still make out the clarity with the Galaxy Nexus, whereas on the DROID RAZR, it's a little bit more garbled looking. Again, it's not noticeable unless you really look very close at the at both handsets. As far as their panels are concerned, they're both Super AMOLED, so they still get those nice saturated looking colors, great viewing angles, high contrast, very lovely looking displays, but for the simple fact that the Galaxy Nexus has a higher resolution, it's easily the better between the two. Above their displays, they sport 1.3 megapixel front-facing cameras for video chat and self-portraits. While on the opposite sides, with the Motorola DROID RAZR, it has the fixed set of Android capacitive buttons, while on the Galaxy Nexus, the Android capacitive buttons are actually built into the interface. Meanwhile, in the rear, the Galaxy Nexus sports a 5-megapixel autofocus camera, single LED flash, while the DROID RAZR has an 8-megapixel autofocus camera with also a flash. Both have the ability to shoot 1080p high-definition videos too. With the Galaxy Nexus, it features a removable battery so you can replace it, but with the DROID RAZR, you can't remove it yourself, but it has the microSD card slot so you can expand its internal memory, whereas you can't do that with the Galaxy Nexus because it doesn't offer a slot. Naturally, seeing that it features the latest and greatest with Android, the Galaxy Nexus is by far the easily preferred device between the two, just for the simple reason that it features Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich versus the customized motorola interface running on the DROID RAZR on top of Android 2.3 Gingerbread. With Honeycomb, as we know, it just has a cleaner look to its overall interface, but both still feature the same foundational elements as any other Android smartphone out there, which is a lot of integration, a lot of personalization with the various widgets. But seeing that it's just cleaner looking and it's a stock experience, you're not really hassled by any other things with the Galaxy Nexus. You have things like a new face unlock feature to unlock the device. You have easier way to actually multitask or switch between programs with the bar here, with the quick task menu bar. And overall, it's just a pleasure to use just because it's the latest and greatest. Not surprisingly, both handsets are completely modernized thanks to their dual-core processors. With the Galaxy Nexus, it's actually a dual-core 1.2 GHz Ti OMAP 4460 processor versus the dual-core Ti OMAP 4430 dual-core processor in the Motorola DROID RAZR. Both a couple of 1 GB of RAM, but with the Galaxy Nexus, you can tell this has a little bit of choppy movement with live wallpaper, something that's a little bit more graphically intensive. It's not bad at all still, but you just notice that. If we switch over to using a static wallpaper though, you'll notice a difference in performance here. Let's just switch it to a static wallpaper and we'll just quickly show you this. Both exhibit really nice fluid movements to perfectly accompany their high-end status, and all in all, they're both pretty much on par to one another. When it comes to browsing the web, it's nice to see that both are 4G LTE devices, so you get fast data speeds, but in our testing, it just seems like the DROID RAZR has slightly faster speeds, both upload and download. As far as the web browsing performance goes, it's pretty much similar. They both exhibit the same amount of responsiveness, very fluid with their movement, but with a lot of flash content on the Galaxy Nexus, you notice a little bit of choppiness, but in the end, they're both more than usable. With the Droid Razr's music player, we like how the lyrics accompany the song as you're playing it, but they both have pretty much the same interface. You have the album cover, track information, also the on-screen controls. With the Galaxy Nexus, we like it that when you place it in landscape and you're browsing through your songs, you get that nice 3D carousel effect like you find on the Honeycomb music player. It gives you a lot of nice eye candy. You have something similar also on the Droid Razr. As far as the audio quality, easily, hands down, the Droid Razr wins it. It just has a stronger tones versus the average tones produced by the Galaxy Nexus, and luckily they both don't crackle at loudest volume setting. On top we have the Galaxy Nexus, and the bottom we have the Droid Razr. They're both playing the same video that's encoded in MPEG-4, 1920 by 1080 resolution, so 1080p. The thing we like both is, of course, a lot of good movement, very smooth, no slowdown or lag, good details, and of course seeing that their Super AMOLED panels in play produce some very saturated looking colors, very appealing to the eye, and overall their experience is basically the same. At the top we have the Galaxy Nexus photos taken with its 5-megapixel autofocus camera, while below you have the Motorola DROID RAZR with its 8-megapixel camera. To tell you the truth, the quality is basically the same, especially in outdoor conditions. Average details, good natural color production, though with the Galaxy Nexus it seems to be a little bit more saturated with its color tone, which is of course pleasant to the eyes, and seems to handle also macro shots a lot better than the DROID RAZR. It just seems like, as far as fine details go, the Galaxy Nexus does an excellent job. But with the Galaxy Nexus in low lighting conditions, it tends to have a little bit more noise that's prevalent in the shots. But it's still usable, but again, just diminished quality, and the flash works evenly with both devices. 1080p high-definition video recordings on board with both devices, but with the Galaxy Nexus, its capture rate is at 24 frames per second, which makes it, more choppy with its movement, and you can tell right away with the Droid RAZR, it moves at a better 30 frames per second. Details are quite the same with both devices, but overall, we have to hand it to the Droid RAZR on this one for the fact that it looks smoother with its movement. Absolutely, the Droid RAZR offers the better calling quality between the two, just because voices are both distinctive and clear on both ends of the line. On top of that, the earpiece is a lot stronger than the Galaxy Nexus. There are some robotic tones heard with the Galaxy Nexus, and its speakerphone volume is rather weak. Also, the Droid RAZR offers the stronger signal strength over the two devices, just because in the same areas we notice more bars with it versus the Galaxy Nexus, which has a problem maintaining a solid 4G LTE connection. As for battery life, they're on par to one another. It's nothing really exciting, just because on everyday usage, a full battery provides us 10 hours of normal usage, which is by today's standards not that impressive at all, but for 4G LTE, it's probably much what we expect. As we've clearly seen in this comparison, both devices pretty much are equal in a variety of areas, ranging from taking photos and videos, the performance of their processors, battery life, in a variety of different categories. So it's very hard to distinguish which device is the superior versus the two, just because they boast a lot of similarities, and of course pricing is set at $300 with both handsets. But with the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, the biggest thing that attracts us is of course Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich. And if you're more into the software experience, then by far choose this handset, just because being a Google flagship device, it is supporting the latest and greatest and most up-to-date experience out there in any device. Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich boasts a lot of new features. On top of that, it's clean, fresh, just something new versus what else is out there. And on top of that, gorgeous looking display, 720p display, 4.65 inches, so it's pretty large. Meanwhile, with the Motorola DROID RAZR, the biggest thing that attracts us is by far its fantastic construction. It's just amazing how much love was put into this device. Stellar design versus the Galaxy Nexus. Razor thin too. Top-notch quality materials. It feels like the more premium device. Definitely dictates its $300 on-contract cost. But right now it's still sitting at Android 2.3 Gingerbread, so some people might not like that fact that it's sporting older build, but once it gets Ice Cream Sandwich, rest assured, this is going to be a pretty capable device. So if you'd like to learn more about either device, the Motorola DROID RAZR or the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. This is John V. Thanks for watching, everyone.